Hello, biologists. Ready to study some. Wait, what do biologists study again? Biologist is a person who studies plants and animals. Good. And then yesterday we learned a word that started with H. It was habitat. A home where a plant or animal lives. So this hermit crab, its habitat is this shell. And then it's outside of the shell, it also has a habitat that looks like a beach. Could also be called an environment. I'm going to read you a story where we will look at many animals' habitats. And we'll also, this story is a lot about impact, making a change. So that's what I want you to be thinking about while I'm reading you the story. So the first question is, when you see the front cover, what does the habitat look like? Does it look like the desert? Does it look like the North Pole, an iceberg? No. It's a rainforest. This is a tropical rainforest habitat, and it looks like it's specifically a tree. Look at all the animals. And there's other plants besides the tree. The plants and animals in the rainforest, they have a relationship. They help each other survive. So we'll read to find out more about that. And just like we did yesterday with Sophie's squash, the end of this book, I'm going to ask you your opinion, and then you can write about that today. It's called The Great Kapok Tree, A Tale of the Amazon Rainforest. So here's a map. That was a cool thing to include in this book. It shows where the Amazon rainforest is. We're up here in North America, and the Amazon rainforest is a huge area in South America. Okay, here's where we start. Two men walked into the rainforest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the two men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to a great kapok tree. Then he left. So look how big that tree is compared to how big the man is. It's a huge tree. Reminds me of a redwood. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack! 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 The sounds of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop, chop, chop! The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack! Chop! Whack! Chop! Soon the man grew tired. He sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. Before he knew it, the heat and hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. I wonder what these animals think about him chopping down the tree. I see he's got one chop mark there. That would take a lot of chopping to get it down, though. A boa constrictor lived in the kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then a huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear. Senor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down. A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. Senor, my hive is in this kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower collecting pollen. In this way I pollinate the trees and flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another. A A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They chattered to the sleeping man, "Signor, we have seen the ways of man. You chop down one tree, then come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away, and this forest will become a desert." A toucan, a macaw, and a cock of the rock flew down from the canopy. "Senor," squawked the toucan, "you must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happens once you begin to chop down the trees. Many people settle on the land, they set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins remain." He's still sleeping. Wonder if he can hear them. A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of a leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped in the man's ear, "Senor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives, many ruined lives. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree." A jaguar had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and shadows of the understory, no one had noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. "Do you think he'll eat him? He doesn't want him to take the tree." He growled in his ear. "Senor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner?" Did you notice the animals keep calling him Senor? That is Mr. in Spanish, and in South America, where the rainforest is, they speak Spanish. 4 tree porcupines swung down from branch to branch and whispered to the man, "Senor, do you know what we animals and humans need in order to live? Oxygen. And Senor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the forest, you will destroy that what gives us all life. Oxygen is the clean air that humans and animals need." What animals are these? Does anyone know? They're anteaters. They climb down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs, getting little piggyback rides. "Senor, you are chopping down this tree with no thought for the future. And surely you know that what happens tomorrow depends on what you do today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children, who tomorrow must live in a world without trees." A 3-toed sloth had begun climbing down from the canopy when the men first appeared. Only now did she reach the ground, because sloths are so slow. Plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man, she spoke in her deep and lazy voice. "Senor, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes?" A child from the Yanomamo tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over the sleeping man. He murmured in his ear, "Senor, when you awake, please look upon us all with new eyes." Does he mean really like new eyes in his head? I think he means with eyes that look around and think, "I should not take away this tree." The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him, staring, were the creatures who depended upon the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers. He felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor. But he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent, making no noise. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung back his arm as though to strike the tree. And suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the child. Writers, he's thinking about what he should do. Should he chop this tree down? Probably his boss sent him to the forest to do that job. But now he knows all these animals and plants, they need that tree for survival. And if he takes it, his impact will negatively affect them. So writers, this is what I want you to write about today. You could pretend you were the man and say, I would chop down the tree, or I would not chop down the tree. Or you could comment on him and say, he should not chop the tree, or he should chop the tree. That would be your opinion, and then try to give 2 reasons. Why do you think he should chop it? Why do you think he should not chop it? That's your job for today, but I will read you the last page and tell you what he does. So right now he's thinking. He already made 1 big cut. Will he do the rest? He hesitated. That means he paused. He dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest. So he did not chop the tree. Maybe you can think about why he didn't. Okay, so it'll probably take you about 15 minutes. Set a timer if you want to. Otherwise, today your job is to tell your opinion and give at least 2 reasons. Thank you.